This course is a companion to the book The Project Brain: Evolving Project Managers, available on Amazon. If you find today's session valuable, the book goes deeper on every framework you are about to learn, including the 3-tier document system, the janitor protocol, synthetic stakeholder simulations, and the full blueprint for an artificial intelligence-powered project management office you can run from your own desktop. You can find it by searching for The Project Brain by Self-Made PM on Amazon, or by visiting selfmadepm.com. Now let us begin the course. 1. Welcome to this 90-minute professional development session on difficult conversations. Over the next 90 minutes, you will learn why we avoid these conversations, how to prepare a script that keeps them productive, how to handle strong emotional reactions calmly, and how to follow up so that agreements actually hold. This course is eligible for 1.5 self-reported professional development units with the Project Management Institute under the online or digital media category, and it maps to the Power Skills Edge of the Project Management Institute Talent Triangle. Let us begin. 2. By the end of this session, you will be able to do 3 things. First, you will be able to prepare a specific opening script using the fact, impact, and invitation structure. Second, you will be able to manage strong emotional reactions, including anger and tears, without abandoning the conversation. Third, you will be able to follow up on agreements consistently so that difficult conversations produce durable behavior change rather than short-lived compliance. Here is how we will spend our 90 minutes together. Part 1 covers why we avoid difficult conversations and what that avoidance costs us. Part 2 covers the preparation that keeps the first 30 seconds productive. Part 3 provides scripts for the most common difficult situations. Part 4 covers handling anger. Part 5 covers handling tears. Part 6 covers the escalation conversation. Part 7 covers follow-up, the step most people skip. At the end, I will walk you through exactly how to claim your professional development units. The conversation you are avoiding right now is probably the most important one you need to have. Let us examine why avoidance happens and what it actually costs. Our brains are wired to avoid social threat. The same fight-or-flight response that protected our ancestors activates when we anticipate confrontation. We catastrophize the outcome, imagining the worst possible reaction. We tell ourselves now is not the right time, or it will probably resolve itself. It never does. Understanding that your avoidance is biological rather than rational is the first step to overriding it. 6. Avoidance compounds problems. The team member who is underperforming continues to drag the team down. The sponsor who keeps adding scope eventually makes the timeline impossible. The vendor who missed one deadline comfortably misses the next one, then the next. The longer you wait, the harder the conversation becomes, and the more resentment builds on both sides. The cost of avoidance is almost always higher than the cost of the conversation, even when the conversation goes poorly. 7. Accepting that discomfort is part of the process, not a signal to retreat, is the foundational mindset shift. A difficult conversation is supposed to feel difficult. That feeling does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means you are doing something that matters. Separate the signal from the feeling. 8. The first 30 seconds determine whether a difficult conversation becomes productive or defensive. Preparation earns those 30 seconds. 9. Never open with accusations, generalizations, or emotional language. Use this three-part structure instead. State the observable fact. Describe the impact. Invite dialogue. For example, the last 3 deliverables were submitted after the agreed deadline. This has pushed our milestone back by 2 weeks and created pressure on the testing team. I would like to understand what is happening and figure out a path forward together. 10. Notice what is missing. No blame, no assumption of intent, no emotional charge. You state what happened, why it matters, and signal that you want to collaborate on a solution. The other person's defensiveness does not activate because there is nothing to defend against. They can simply engage with the facts. This opening is not natural for most people, which is why writing it down and rehearsing it once out loud is time well spent. 11. Location matters. Have these conversations in private. Do not corner someone at their desk in front of their team. Do not schedule them at the end of a long meeting when everyone is depleted. A quiet room or a private video call in the morning when both parties have cognitive energy available produces better outcomes than any opening script alone can. 12. A few scripts you can adapt directly. Rehearse them so they come out naturally under pressure. 13. When saying no to a request, try this. I understand this is important to you. Given our current commitments, adding this would require removing something else or extending the timeline. Which would you prefer we explore? This validates the other person while making the trade-off explicit. You are not refusing, you are requiring a choice. The trade-off framing turns a refusal into a conversation about priorities, which is what you actually want. 14. When addressing a miscommitment, try this. We agreed on Friday delivery, and I received it on Wednesday the following week. Help me understand what happened so we can prevent it going forward. The phrase, help me understand, is disarming because it positions you as curious rather than accusatory. It invites explanation rather than defense. Most people respond honestly to curiosity and defensively to accusation, so the phrasing choice shapes the entire response. 15. When pushing back on scope additions, frame it as a trade. This addition looks valuable. To include it, we either move the launch date by 3 weeks or drop one of the current features. Which trade-off would you like to explore? The framing prevents the scope conversation from becoming a fight about whether the addition is valuable. It usually is. The question is what it displaces. 16. Sometimes people get angry. They raise their voice, cross their arms, or shut down completely. Your job is not to match their energy. It is to stay regulated so the conversation can continue. 17. When someone gets heated, lower your voice slightly and slow your pace. This breaks the pattern the other person expects, which often de-escalates without any explicit intervention. Matching their intensity escalates the exchange. De-escalating your own signal gives them permission to de-escalate theirs. Most people do not want to be the only loud voice in a room. 18. Acknowledge the emotion without validating the behavior. I can see this is frustrating. I want to work through this together. This respects the feeling while keeping the conversation going. Do not argue with the emotion. Do not tell them to calm down. Naming the feeling is almost always enough to release some of its intensity. 19. If the intensity escalates beyond productive, suggest a pause. Let us take 15 minutes and come back to this. I want to give this the attention it deserves. Most people will accept a structured pause. Very few will accept a request to calm down. The difference is that the pause respects the other person's state without asking them to change it. 20. In most cases, the emotional reaction is about the situation, not about you. People get defensive when they feel threatened by accountability, by change, or by loss of control. Your calm presence creates the safety needed for the conversation to eventually become productive. If you absorb the emotion personally, you lose the regulation that the other person needs you to have. 21. Tears make most people deeply uncomfortable, especially in professional settings. Your response to tears will define whether this conversation and future ones produce real change or become painful rituals. 22. Resist the urge to immediately backtrack, apologize, or abandon the subject. Crying is an emotional release, not a manipulation tactic. Pause. Offer a tissue or a moment. Say something like, "Take your time. This is clearly important to you, and I want to make sure we address it properly." Then, gently return to the topic. The worst thing you can do is abandon the conversation entirely, because that teaches both of you that tears end accountability. 23. You can be compassionate and direct at the same time. The two are not opposed. Compassion means you recognize the other person is a human being having a hard moment. Directness means you still need to finish the conversation that produced the moment. Most people can tell the difference between a leader who respects them and a leader who retreats. Respect them by finishing the conversation. 24. Sometimes you need to move the conversation up the chain. How you telegraph that matters. 25. When escalating a blocked issue, try this. "I have tried to resolve this at our level, and we have not been able to find alignment. I want to be transparent that I plan to escalate this so we can get a decision. I would rather we go together, but I need to move forward either way." This gives the other person a chance to re-engage before escalation happens. It is not a threat, it is a factual statement of your next step, and it often resolves the issue without escalation because the other party realizes you are serious. 26. Before you escalate, document the attempts you have made, dates of previous conversations, what was agreed and what was not delivered, what impact the unresolved issue is having on the project. Escalation without documentation tends to get reframed by the other party as your overreaction. Documentation shifts the conversation to the facts. Do not escalate without it. 27. The conversation itself is only half the work. Without follow-up, agreements evaporate within days. 28. At the end of every difficult conversation, summarize what was agreed. So we have aligned on these 3 points. I will send a brief summary by end of day. Then actually send it. The written summary is your hedge against memory drift on both sides. It is also what protects you if the agreement is not honored and the issue eventually reaches governance. 29. Check in at agreed intervals to reinforce accountability and signal that this matters to you. A 1-week check-in followed by a 2-week check-in is usually enough to cement new behavior. If you let weeks pass without a check-in, the message you send is that this was a one-time conversation rather than a change in expectations. You want the message to be the change. 30. When the person changes their behavior, acknowledge it. "I noticed the last 2 deliverables came in on time. I appreciate the effort." Positive reinforcement makes the next difficult conversation easier because the other person knows you see the full picture, not just the problems. This is the step most project managers skip, and skipping it turns you into someone who only shows up when things are going wrong. That is a terrible reputation. Do not earn it. 31. Difficult conversations get easier with practice, but they never become comfortable, and that is fine. Start with lower stakes conversations to build confidence. Keep a brief journal of what you said, how it landed, and what you would adjust next time. Over months, you will develop a repertoire of phrases and approaches that work for your style. Project managers who are known for getting results while maintaining strong relationships are almost always the ones who have mastered this skill. 32. Let us recap. You can now prepare a specific opening script using the fact, impact, and invitation structure. You can manage strong emotional reactions, including anger and tears, without abandoning the conversation by lowering your voice, acknowledging the emotion, and proposing structured pauses. And you can follow up on agreements with written summaries, scheduled check-ins, and acknowledgement of improvement. Your next step is to prepare the opening for the conversation you have been avoiding, and to have it this week. 33. To claim your 1.5 professional development units, log into your Project Management Institute dashboard at the Continuing Certification Requirements System, which is abbreviated CCRS. Select Report Professional Development Units. Choose the category labeled Online or Digital Media. Enter the course title exactly as shown on your certificate, which is How to Have Difficult Conversations. Enter the date you completed the course. Enter the provider name as Self-Made PM. Enter the professional development unit value of 1.5 allocated to the power skills area of the talent triangle. Retain your certificate of completion in case of an audit. Self-Made PM is not a Project Management Institute authorized training partner, and professional development units on this platform are self-reported. Thank you for spending these 90 minutes with me. I will see you in the next course. Thank you for completing this course. If the ideas in this session sparked something for you, the next step is the book. The Project Brain, Evolving Project Managers is available now on Amazon and goes far beyond what we could cover in this session. It contains the complete system for building, maintaining, and scaling an artificial intelligence-powered project management office, the full janitor protocol with templates, deeper stakeholder simulation patterns, and real-world case studies from practitioners who have saved 10 to 15 hours per week using these methods. You can find more free courses, tools, and articles at selfmadepm.com. Again, thank you for your time, and remember to log your professional development units. I will see you in the next course. 35.